All right. All right, we're live. All right. Good afternoon, beautiful reflections. This is your host, Matthew, episode 40. We got a good one for you. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the last couple of episodes. So we're going to just jump right into it. Remember, like, subscribe, comment. And if you do subscribe, just look for the premiere every Wednesday, probably more or less 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. But just make sure you look for that. And as always, your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief becomes your reality. All right, Mark, what you got? What you got?
Hey, well, same thing. Good evening or good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Sunday, beautiful day outside. So anybody that is tuning in, much respect to take time out to check us out. But like Matt said, not to try to beat a dead horse. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share. So this one is going to be my little project or pet little project, whatever you want to call it. So this one's going to be, the topic is, what is the difference, if it is a difference, between divine masculinity and an alpha male? So the reason that I wanted to do this podcast was actually I was looking at another show, and a young lady was speaking on how her current boyfriend was telling her the difference between an alpha male and a divine masculine, and why she should be more wanting a masculine guy. So I just took to it, and I was like, that's a very interesting comment topic, because I'm eager to see Matt, you, as well as everybody else, what do y'all think? And do you really know the difference, or what is the difference between a masculine man, divine masculine man, and a alpha male? Because a lot of us know what alpha male is, but which do you prefer? If it's just a difference, which one is the one that's the better suited? That's what the topic is today. So I'm gonna jump right into it. I did a little research. I did what I could with the time I had. So I'm gonna read everybody out the divine first, and then I'm gonna go into it. Then I'm gonna go into what an alpha male is. So what a divine male, this is by the Webster Dictionary, which was last updated in March of this year, 2023. So by definition, divine masculine man. So that's important, the word divine, not just masculine, but divine masculine man, is the quality of nature of the male sex, the quality or degree of being masculine or manly. Okay, that's by the definition of divine masculinity. Now, anybody that don't know, if you do know, good, but if you don't, the definition of divine, okay, the power of the divine masculine, okay, the set of qualities, features, etc., traditionally associated with men, like many of companions. Okay, so you put those two together, that's what divine is. Now, I broke it down even further than that. It's 4 types of masculinity. For anybody out there that don't know or didn't realize, you have 4 different types. They are, now bear with me, guys, as I try to pronounce these words. Okay, the first one is hegemonic. Okay, the second one is complicit. The third one is marginalized. And then the 5th one is subordinate. So again, that's the 4 different types of masculinity that's deemed to be for any male in masculinity. So the first one is hegemonic. Masculinity says to that man or to be unemotional and violent, sexually aggressive, must avoid appearing weak and or feminine. Okay, so it goes on to say also claims to be power over any man or woman any given time. So basically what they say, hegemonic is the father, the god, the beast of them all kind of masculinity. They again possess power over men or women. Now, complicit, that's the second of the 4, is a form of masculinity that does not challenge the dominant forms of masculinity in Western, deemed in Western society. Okay. Now, the third one is marginalized. Marginalized is a form that is unable to conform to or divine benefits of or from harmonic masculinity, which means, in other words, it's want to be or can't be like harmonic, which is the dominant one, the aggressive one. This one is more deemed to be more or less sit back and actually tend to take on the feminine or the masculinity. So that's what the marginalized is. And the subordinate is the form of masculinity which lack many of the qualities of the hegemonic, which is the main one. So subordinate is just like, what does the word subordinate means? Somebody that just deal with it, don't get out of character, take it for what it is. That's more or less a subordinate. So those are your 4 types of masculinity. So what I want everybody to think about, men and women, based off of these definitions, us as men, where do we feel we fall as the masculine? Do we feel that we're the hegemonic, which is the one that's more aggressive, claim power over men and women, take charge, or are you more the marginalized, which is the form of masculinity that's unable to conform or define benefits of the hegemonic? And then you have your subordinate, which is a form of masculinity which is lack many of the qualities of the hegemonic. So you're basically just content on who you are, how you are. So that's the 4. Now I'm gonna go more into the divine masculinity. So to me, I think it's basically 2 types. Again, divine masculinity, if you listen to those definitions, is the one that's the hegemonic, which is the head one. Some guys that's like that take power. They can be powerful over men and women. They just take charge. They in control of themselves, life in general. I know a lot of women say they want a masculine man. That would be more or less the kind of man that they would look for, is the hegemonic, because I don't think most women, and again, women, this is where I want y'all to be engaged in comment, because I cannot speak for y'all. I'm just reading the definitions and just giving you my point of view on this. So more or less, I would think most women want the hegemonic. I don't think anybody would want the subordinate. And if you do, then that's just what you want in the man equality, or as a man, that's the one you want to be. Then also the marginalized is the one he's more or less trying to be like the harmonic. He wants to take on that form of hegemonic masculine role. So at the end of the day, the hegemonic is the one that most men and women would want to be. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into alpha male, and then I'm gonna kick it to you, Matt, and then I'm gonna go more in depth. Okay, so the alpha male is pretty short and simple. Everybody know what an alpha male is, but I'm gonna still read it anyway. The most dominant or powerful, assertive man in a particular group. That's kind of in a nutshell what an alpha male is. The one that takes charge. If it's a group of men, he's the one that's going to be the leader, the one that's going to be able to delegate, organize, and lead. And then you have the people that want to follow, because he's the one that's taking charge and has the organization skills to lead a bunch of people in a group. So that's what that is as far as the definitions. Now, Matt, I'm going to let you say what you feel on what I just read. Do you agree with it, disagree? What you have, do you have your own material that you research? I know you research. I know you got something.
Oh yeah, I got a lot. For some reason, KJ said she can hear you, but she can't see you.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because
But
I'm
until
looking
I
at.
fix that, Matt, go ahead and do what
Okay.
yeah, because I'll fix it somehow.
All right. So it's interesting because the definitions that I have is somewhat different from the ones that you have. So to me, it just goes to show you that this topic is still relative. Like everything we talk about is relative, in my opinion. So you can have different, opinions, and not to say one is right or the other one is wrong, but I just find it interesting that the definition that you read is somewhat different from what I got. So basically, what I got as far as for alpha males is the man on top of many hierarchies. So I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like a hierarchy, it's a pyramid, and it has like 5 different levels of males as far as what if they're alpha male, beta, gamma, Zeta, and then the actual everybody knows alpha is the highest one. So basically, the research that I've done, the alpha male is always known to be the top dog. And then the masculine man is don't have the same type of qualities as the alpha. Like a masculine can't be an alpha, but an alpha can be a masculine because they kind of have the same traits. So alpha male can have the traits of a masculine man, but the masculine man can't have the traits of an alpha male. Now, just for me personally, I feel as though the big difference between alpha and masculine, I always see that the alpha are the ones that has the high testosterones. So all the alpha males are your athletes. In the military, that's the ones that's combat arms. Those are the ones that's leaders, they're in charge. And more so, as far as the masculine men, those are the men that control the alpha males. Like for example, a corporation, a business owner, the person that actually owns that business is the masculine man, whereas the one that's putting out the information, that's running the company, that's the leader and so forth, is more so the alpha male. That's just how I see it. It could be my years of experience in the military where I was around a whole bunch of alpha men because again, the testosterone and stuff was high. They could be masculine men, but because their testosterone to me was higher, they was more aggressive or assertive. They was take charge. Anytime they was in a room, they always wanted to be heard, and that's more so what a alpha male is. Like an alpha when you go anywhere because he's always going to be the loudest one in the group. Like they're always going to be the one that's taking charge, leading people, directing people, or whatever the case is. So that's how I see the difference between an alpha male and a masculine man. Now, based off the divine masculine, for me, when I hear divine, I think of a higher, not higher calling, but a higher being, a higher purpose. So for me, divine that's the one that's actually just ordained by God universe as the one that's going to be in charge. Whereas, like I said, a man can be alpha if he have testosterone that's 900 to 1,000. He's naturally just going to be in charge and taking charge because that assertiveness and aggressiveness is always going to be there. So that person is always going to stand out, where that masculine man may have a testosterone level between 600, 500, but he still has the traits. Like he's divine, so he's always going to be in charge. He's going to be responsible. He's going to be a leader. Basically the traits for what masculinity is. He's responsible, protector of the home, provider of the home. So he'll still have those traits, but he just don't have that profound ability that an alpha male has. That's how I see it. Now I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay, but I don't know about seeing me. Somebody's KJ gonna have to respond because I don't see anything where it's not, the camera shows that it's on. So I don't know. But yeah, so like you were saying, you perfectly put it. Like alpha, that's why I was saying alpha is pretty self-explanatory. Most people understand what alpha is, but I wanted to go more in depth, and this is why I want to do this subject and not making it to a debate. Like you said, it's relative, but it's more or less for me. I'm curious to see, even though we know the difference between alpha, more the women, because I know a lot of women post and they all say, and we all hear the different quotes and comments or sayings, like women say, I want a real man, or a man that's a man's man. So that's why I want women to come back and respond. What is your definition of a man's man? Is that pretty much a divine, or even take the divine off, just say a masculine man? And I hear women say, I need a masculine man to be the one to be with me. So after reading these definitions, do y'all still feel that some of these myths been put out there, what we deemed is a masculine man? Because we grew up with dad. How would you look at dad? Would you could define him as divine masculine, or you put him as just alpha? Or like you said, alpha could be a divine masculine. Me personally, I think dad was divine masculine, because he did, again, if you go by the cliches or whatever we deemed, as I said, Western society deemed as a masculine man, dad did all the things. He was in control, even though it didn't seem like mom was in the back scene kind of telling dad what to do to us, but he was still in control. He took care of the household. He's a man of God. So he took charge. He led many men. He was a deacon. So to me, personally, I felt like that was a good definition of what a masculine man is. Now, I've dated some women that said, well, a masculine man to them is somebody that's take charge, take care of the household, a leader, be able to lead in the right way, not lead you into some danger or trouble, and not be able to handle the situation. And then some women thought a masculine man was just a dude that's strong, that just gonna be able to protect her, which, yeah, that's part of it, but that ain't all the attributes of a masculine man. So that's why I just want women to really come back and put definition behind what you feel a masculine man is, other than what I've read off, because that's what I'm curious. And then again, I know you just went into that, Matt, but what do you feel? Do you feel that some of these beliefs, what they said, masculine man, goes and point on what you just said? Do you feel like, like I said, well, a man is strong, he's a protector, that means he's masculine? Or is that just what they put out there in society to make us feel like if you're not that, you're not a masculine man?
Well, you know what I'm going to go on as far as the programming. So, I do believe women and men have been programmed as far as what a masculine man is. And I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, just like with anything, like who comes up with this stuff? Like, who is it the final say that decide, okay, this is what a man is, this is what a woman is? And I know people can bring up scripture, and that's basically the foundation of what most people base humanity off of, is what is written in the scripture. But that's another story for another day. But for me, I believe, like I said, I think it's relative. So I believe some people have their own beliefs of what masculinity and what alpha is, what alpha male is. And perfect example, like you said, some people, I think they can have a father figure in their life. It can be a brother, an uncle, it could be somebody within the neighborhood. And just for Black males, unfortunately, a lot of us, not us, but a lot of Black males didn't have fathers in their homes. So what do they look at as far as Black masculinity, or not Black masculinity, but what do they look at as masculinity and as an alpha male? So it's basically going to be what is fed to them, what society says it is, what entertainment says it is. So that's what they have to look at. And the same thing with, women, more so us, young Black women. If they don't have a father in the house, then who do they have to look at as masculinity, or the alpha male? Again, it's what society is given to them. So I think to an extent, it has been skewed to the point to where they have a false perception of what true masculinity or divine masculinity is and what an alpha male is, because that's what's been programmed to them. So we can, go back and forth with definitions and stuff like that. But to me, it's based off of what you grew up with and what you experienced. It's going to really, truly define what true masculinity is, or what an alpha male is. Just like you said with dad could have displayed or have displayed masculinity, divine masculinity, and alpha. But then you can look at it on the other side, whereas, okay, well, dad loved to talk. So that's definitely one of the traits of an alpha male.
Yeah.
When dad's in the room, he's in the room.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's, what I'm saying? So that's one trait
Yeah.
of an alpha male. And then he was a provider and protector of the family,
Right.
responsible and
Mhm.
open and stuff like that. So he had both traits.
Right.
So that can kind of debunk the whole theory that a masculine man can't display the same traits as a alpha. But most people will always identify alpha, like I said, as an athlete or somebody in the military, police officer, combat arms, someone is doing something dangerous. That's always going to be displayed as what an alpha is.
Right. Okay, so that's good that you said that. So I'm gonna go off camera for a minute because I'm gonna read some examples, because the next part of this, and I know you say you don't want to be kind of like judging, but again, this is just a platform where we want to have our opinions, and I just want to put out there and have us kind of think about it. Does it really make a difference? Just again, it just brings more of a broaden your way of thinking. Okay, because this show I was watching the other day, where the lady was speaking about her boyfriend, she was saying that her boyfriend told her that why do you want a masculine man or alpha? And then she said she never thought about this. He told her the reason why you want a masculine man versus an alpha, because the alpha man, like you just stated, he's the leader in the room. He's out at testosterone. He's the one that's outspoken. But he was telling his girlfriend at the end of the day, that's all he's going to be. So you would want a masculine man because he covered all bases. He could be able to lead a room or a group. He could be able to take care of you, take care of any situation that comes about, and he's divine being of God. So that's where I wanted to bring this up, because now I want everybody to open their minds and think, okay, what would you rather have? And now break down the 4 categories of masculinity, because that's why it's 4 different ones. Because even though you're masculine, you could be one of the 4, but not the main one, which is the hegemonic. Okay, so I'm gonna go off camera for a second. I'm gonna read a couple examples, so give me people more of an understanding when I say the 4 different meanings of the masculinity. So bear with me, guys.
Okay, are we going to hear you, or you just going off camera?
No, you're going to hear me, meaning you're not going to see me, but you're going to hear me. Let me rephrase that.
Okay, because he's still not showing up. So.
I know, because I just went off camera. I'm trying to bring up, because I saved it. So I have to bring it up so that way that I can read it, because I can't recite all that. It was a lot.
Okay.
So that's why, I mean, if you want to talk in between now, you can, but I'm gonna just.
So I'm just going to read a comment that KJ put. She said she think nowadays, I can only speak for myself, some men have very feminine traits, and some women are looking for a man with less femininity.
There you go. I'm glad she said that, because you know what that is? What? That's what I'm saying about where it's 4 different ones. That is considered the subordinate masculinity. That's why I was saying it's different levels. And even though you're masculine, which one are you? Okay.
See, but I want to address that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I hear that the comment, and I'm not saying your comment is wrong. So I'm not disagreeing with. No, KJ.
Oh.
But this is where I have pushback, is because, again, not just KJ, but other women or other people keep associating. That's what I was saying earlier, that masculinity has to be like the image of an athlete or someone in combat arms or a police officer, someone that shows and looks the part. But that's not what divine masculinity is. Divine masculinity traits is confidence, a risk taker, decisive, courage, persistent, intelligence, health, and have social skills. So that man can have all those traits as a divine masculine man, but because he don't display the aggression that an alpha male does, he's not deemed as masculine because he don't play or show the part of it. And I think
Correct.
that's what the biggest disconnect is too many people are looking at, again, what I said earlier, is what society showed them masculinity is.
Now, I'm gonna read this, Matt, because it's funny you said this, like you read this definition or something, which means you knowledgeable. So I'm not gonna discredit you. But this, I'm just saying, like it coincides with what I'm about to read you. It says
Okay.
examples of traits that are generally considered to be part of hegemonic masculinity in contemporary, this is the key part, Western society.
There you go, right there.
Decidedly not feminine, unemotional, straight and cisgendered, muscular body, practice of competitive sports, aggression, low voice, primary breadwinner, independent, not in need of help. And then they put at the bottom, it's funny, they put this white. Now,
subliminal messaging.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying though, it did coincide. I say exactly what you said, but decidedly not feminine, unemotional, straight and cisgendered, muscular body, practice of competitive sports, aggression, low voice, primary breadwinner. But see, the key is like you just said, Matt. So that's what I said, coincide what you said. This is what's believed to be in Western society.
Right.
So it's basically saying the same thing you're saying. So now this is the other thing. It says right here, and you said this too. For example, not all men who fit into hegemonic masculinity are high-powered government officials or CEOs. And not all high-powered men fit into the construct of hegemonic masculinity, but their status at least gives them the illusion of hegemonic masculinity. Characters, actors, and other fantastical figures, can also fit within the framework of hegemonic masculinity. Okay, that's what hegemonic masculinity by definition. Now, subordinate factors into the difference with the forms of masculinity or the ability or desire to adhere to hegemonic standards. The inability or lack of desire to adhere to these standards and the interaction of social hierarchies outside of gender, namely class, race, ethnicity within the gender. So basically what it's saying is marginalizes, they put you in a margin, they categorize you. That's what marginalize is. So that's why I wanted to put that up there, just to say that pretty much you can be masculine, but there's different traits of masculinity. And her hegemonic is pretty much the dominant one, the one, like you say, the CEO, the athlete, all of that, all in one. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up to everybody is because where we are today, like you said, we programmed to think like that. So that's why I want to ask everybody, where do you really want, or what you base is what you figure masculinity? Again, I know I'm repeating it. Perfect example, how we are, right? I'm at work and the lady asks for help because it's a rack that we had to pull out where we put our exhaust for the trucks for Tundra, for the Toyota Tundra. So the lady couldn't pull it out. So she go, Mark, come here, I need your help. You're masculine, you're a nice, strong man. I need you to pull this and open this. I said, man, why can't you ask the other guy? Oh, he ain't strong, ain't a real man. I'm like, seriously, you gonna disrespect him like that? So the other guy walks up. His name is TK. I think he's Filipino or Vietnamese. Funny guy. So he walks up and he just takes charge and he pushes me out the way. He wanted to prove himself. But he said, I got this. So he takes a hammer and like a little chisel and hits like he's hammering it, pops out the lock and then pulls it out. And we start laughing. And then she tells me, see, you ain't no real man. How come you couldn't think like that? And I just laughed. I said, he wanted to prove a point, so I let him do it. So the point I'm going with this is how we are in society, how the lady figured, because I'm have a strong looking physique, that I'm automatically should be a man's man and unlock that the shelf from the rack. But the littlest dude, this dude like 5'2", little skinny little dude, he goes up, takes the hammer, and he uses his head. So my point is that doesn't have. No, I mean he used his brain, like he thought about it. Like
Okay.
I
I
ain't
thought you
strong
meant he
enough.
literally used.
No, I mean he used his head, like he thought about it. Like I'm damn sure not strong enough, so it got to be a way. So he gets the hammer, and it's funny because when he gets done, he goes, "It's like, see, I'm smart." So I laughed and I was like, "See, you don't need me. That dude can do it too, and he's little." Then she got smart. Oh, well, you ain't strong. You ain't no real man. So that's why I'm bringing that up on how we as people view what a man is as far as masculinity. So to her, I wasn't masculine enough because I couldn't pull a rack out. So that's why again I want everybody to come chime in, because what do you really feel a masculine dude is? Because that is part of society thinks if you big and strong, you a masculine man. That's part of it, but that's not all of it.
Okay, so I got two responses.
Yeah.
One from KJ and then one from Diamond Girl. So,
Mhm.
okay, KJ says, not aggression. Some men pluck their eyebrows, get their nails done, more time in the mirror than women, and don't want to lead. And then
Right.
Diamond, okay, I'm gonna come back and touch that one, Mark, and I want you to touch it too, but I'm gonna read Diamond's also. So Diamond Girl says, man is wild at heart, created outside the garden, placed inside the garden where woman was created. Although I believe this is allegiance or all logical, it defines it perfectly. All right, so I just want to touch on KJ's first and get your feedback, and then we'll go to Diamond. Right. All right, so KJ said she saying not aggression, but how men get their eyebrows plucked and nails done. So I get what she's saying now. I think it's overboard. When you say nails done, are you saying like get their nails painted or get their nails cut and trimmed? Because as a massage therapist, you got to have your nails cut and trimmed. You can't be going in there with darn, hangnails and long fingernails. Now, as far as the plucking eyebrows and stuff like that, that could be going a little bit far. But again, to me, that still goes back to the programming as far as what femininity and what masculinity is. We're being told or was told this is what a man does, this is what a woman does. And that really has nothing to do with femininity, because femininity, again, is Mother Earth, is sympathy, is empathetic. So when I hear a woman say, or I hear the topic or someone saying that a man is feminine, that's what I'm looking at. As far as, is he over empathetic? Is he over sympathetic? That's what I look at. Now, as far as some of these dudes out here and they walking and talking like they think they're a woman, that's another level. That's not what I'm looking at when I talk about men are feminized. I talk about men as far as what she said later, as far as men not wanting to lead. Now that is teetering on the lines of femininity. But as far as with the eyebrows being plucked and nails, that's just a gender identification that was programmed to us that, for me, has nothing to do with what true femininity is. So from that aspect, I don't see that as femininity. Him not wanting to lead, that's different.
Yeah, so that goes in part with, like I know I keep throwing these definitions out there, but there's a reason for that. Because, I mean, the reason why is because the examples are supporting the definition. So what KJ said about the dude plucking his eyebrows and doing his nails, that falls again under subordinate masculinity, because it said, I didn't read all of it because it was a whole freaking paragraph, 3 paragraphs. So I didn't try to read all of it, but it also stated that the subordinate is to tend to be the masculine one that's get more in touch with the feminine side, which is more the plucking the eyebrow, whatever you want to consider that, not feminine, but that's what women do more. So in society, I guess we deem that as being feminine, but that's basically what that is. So I understand why KJ said that. Now, what I deem he's too feminine? No, he's just not the masculine of the masculine. He don't has the hegemonic trait of masculinity. He has the lowest one, which is the subordinate. So that he is who he is. So I don't feel like that's a bad thing. Now, if he don't want to lead, then again, he falls in that category. I hate to label it, but it's the reason why it's definitions, because it fits the person who you are for each individual. So if you the one that take charge, a leader, and you can be able to pluck your eyebrows, then you are the hegemonic, because you are all of them in one. But then you have something that's the marginalized, what falls into that category where he want to be like hegemonic, but he can't, but he's one more like wishful one. So that's who you are. That's who you are. So I see that as this guy plucking eyebrows. If he don't want to be a leader, then yeah, he falls in that subordinate category. That's just who he is. Now, is that his fault? Could be the way he brought up, what he seen in his life. So you look at it on that aspect as well. But I wouldn't say he's wrong for that, huh?
That goes back to what you said earlier. That's Western idea
Yeah.
of what
Well, I
masculinity
mean, well,
is.
basically that's what else can we go off of? So I
Right,
mean,
okay, because I'm looking at it from totality, because we're not the only one on this planet. So I
yeah,
get it. We live here, but when you
right,
say man, you're talking about man throughout the entire
right,
globe, not just United States. So not the topic we have, but when someone's talking about it, it should be defined as men in the United States or
yeah, well,
Western
yeah,
culture of
right.
masculinity, because that's not Eastern. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm looking at the totality of it.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so now let's hit up what Diamond Girl says. Okay, so man is wild at heart, created outside the garden, placed inside the garden.
Mm-hmm.
That's open a can of worms right there.
Yeah.
Um, so Diamond, you have to know me to really understand like my thought pattern. So I don't believe everything that's told to me. So I know what the Bible says and all that, and I know what these definitions and stuff like that says. I don't place my belief off of what someone else says. Um, I know it might sound crazy, but I kind of talked about this before. I get my knowledge from universe, God's source. So I tap in that way. And anything that comes behind that is just confirmation. But that's what I rely on for my information and what the truth is, because I'm not basing off of what someone else says, and no one knows that that's 100% truth. So to me, you can be easily misled or misguided if you base everything off of what was before us. No one lived that time. So no one truly knows what the truth is. So it's just, for me, I'm not going to put my 100% belief into what was said by somebody else. I have no belief that that's 100% what it is. Okay, so I know we're talking about masculinity versus what is it,
Alpha.
alpha. Now, for me, this is not on a hierarchy. I'm a Sigma male. So if you know what that is, KJ or Diamond Girl, a Sigma male is basically we're outside the norm. So I'm going to read the traits of a Sigma male. Okay. If I can find it. All right. So I got alpha. Okay. Sigma male. They are born to rebel. All right. They get a lot of attention without even trying. They have a unique way of doing things. They know what they want. They like to live in the moment. I always say that I live in the moment. Don't be asking about what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm in the moment. They are hard to get. They love to have their own space, and they have a style of their own. Okay, and these more traits of a Sigma male. He doesn't conform to society's standards. That's me. I will never conform to it. I don't believe in society's standards. I have my own standards. I create my own standards. He is self-sufficient and independent. He does not need a social circle to thrive. He is adaptable and cunning. His priorities is wants and his needs. He loves to be alone, which is me, and he doesn't need attention. So it was labeled as we're the anti-superhero. So you got the superhero, we're the anti-superhero. We're totally opposite of that. So in like the Sigma male is like kryptonite to Superman, because as a Sigma male, we can dominate anybody on that hierarchy. Like a alpha male can't challenge a sigma male because alpha male, again, is more about who he is, his capabilities, and less of empathy, sympathy, and being alone and using his intuitiveness to move through society. Whereas the alpha male has to have that. Like if you take an alpha male and take everybody away, he'll crumble because alpha males need that attention. They thrive off of it. It motivates them. Whereas the sigma male is opposite. We don't need that. We can be by ourselves. We thrive off of our internal motivation. But I don't want to get too far off topic because I know we're talking about alpha and masculine. But I just wanted to throw that out there so you have a little better understanding of how I think, is because I think outside of the norm as far as what Western society says or even Eastern society says how we're supposed to conduct ourselves.
No, I think that's actually coincide with the masculinity because it's another form of masculine. It's just something that most people probably even heard about. So I think that was very important to bring that up. You know what I mean? Because it might be other guys out there that be like, hey, that's who I am. I agree with that. That's me. And before they really couldn't figure out, or if they didn't know, maybe they did. But the ones that didn't know, but what you just read off feels like it defines them. So I think that was really good that you put that out there.
All right, so let me ask you this. What would you classify yourself?
Well, I mean, honestly, I ain't even know nothing about the Sigma, honestly. So, I mean, now that you mention it.
Before that.
Before that, I'm just saying, though, it's good that you said that because I think some of those, I believe, I'll fall in that. Not all of them, but maybe 3 or 4 of them. But from reading, even though it's Western society, so, I mean, based off of just, what it describes who you are, I would believe that I'm more of hegemonic. I don't think that I'm a subordinate by no means, and I'm not marginalized either. So I would definitely feel like I'm at the hegemonic, basically just based off of what I've done, where I'm at, how I interact with other people. I feel like I'm that on the masculinity part. I ain't gonna say I think. I know I'm not the other 3. So no, I'm serious. But that's why, again, this is good stuff. I think it's good because, again, it's just me, picking brains. I like to hear other people's point of views, like you said about the Sigma male. This is the reason why I like conversation, because you learn and get different things. So that's why I wanted to bring this subject up, because like I was saying the other day, I heard, that story with the lady about the guy. And I really honestly believe this is how we are, not us, because I know you think differently on this, but I mean, this is the perspective that we live right now on what masculine is and what alpha. Again, I kind of push alpha to the side now because we all know what alpha is. Now, the last question I'm going to ask, and I want women again to chime in on this, men too, but with all this being said today, now how do you feel? Do you feel like alpha is definitely not what you want? Masculine is mostly what most women want? Is it okay to have a guy that's masculine, but he's the subordinate type, kind of more on the feminine side, not to take charge or, want to lead? So I know that sounds like a obvious question, but again, how many people really knew definition, honestly, what masculine is besides what they was programmed to think? So I want feedback. So ladies, would you hear this, comment and let us know, because that's what I want to, I'm just curious on the answers to that. Diamond Girl and KJ, if you want to go ahead and chime in on that, I would really love to hear the answer on that. But
okay, so until they respond, this is what I'm curious about. I don't want to keep going back to this, but I don't know, for some reason that's keep resonating with me as far as like the difference between alpha and the masculine. Because the crazy thing to me is like the alpha can be a masculine. Now, necessarily masculine can't really be, based off of what I've read, can't be an alpha. But at the end of the day, they still both have the traits of being responsible, being a head, being a leader, right? Taking charge. So who cares if they have feminine traits. Like that's this is a disconnect for me, because if
Uh-huh.
he's doing all that, then he's in his rightful place based off of divine masculinity.
Right.
So to me, that's more of a personal, what it should be. It's a
Mhm.
personal preference, but I don't think you should say, well, that man is not masculine because he
Mhm.
don't display those alpha traits as
Right.
far as what masculinity is.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me. Um, because as long as, like I said, he's taking care of what he's supposed to take care of, that's the only thing that should matter. Now, I'm not
Right.
saying you should both be walking down the street and it's like it's two women walking down the street. But again, if something was to pop off, because if he's divine masculine, he's still going to naturally defend you. You know what I'm saying? So he's still naturally going to do what he has to do. He's going to take boxing lessons and stuff like that, or be well versed in different weapons and stuff like that. So he's making sure that he's taking care and protecting his family. But because he has the femininity
Mhm.
traits, plucking his eyebrows of his fingernails, why does that matter if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing as a divine masculine man?
Right.
So I'm just curious how the women feels about that. I would love to hear a
Yeah.
comment on that or
Yeah.
response.
That's what I'm saying. Like we can speak on the men aspect, but I want to hear what women say because at the end of the day, I think women's going to be more to be responsive to this than men because I think most men answers going to be the same in a sense based on what knowledge they have. So women is more curious because I always hear women say, I want a masculine man or I want a man's man. So that's why I wanted to put this out there because again, I don't know if most women understand the breakdown of it besides what they was programmed to think. Again, like the lady at my job, clearly her perspective of a man's man is a dude that's strong, that can be physically strong. So whoever raised her, taught her, or whoever she was surrounded by men, had her thinking that's the only way you can be truly a man. So that's why I want to direct this more toward the women, because I wonder
Right.
how many women have that mentality. You know what I mean? Like you said, that if a dude had that feminine side, they might look at him as weak and not strong enough, and they won't feel like he's masculine. And that's, because again, programmed the way they was raised, maybe the men they grew up around wasn't like that. So if they see a man like that, it's hard for them to accept that because it's just based off of what they had in their life. So like you said, individually it's going to be different, of course, on how everybody views it. But that's why I want this, because I'm just, again, it's a curiosity for me. Is it making a difference? Like you said, does it matter? No, but it's a curiosity because I want to know people's perspective. Just listening and seeing a lot of women post stuff and say stuff, not just posting, what I hear in conversations, on what they view, what they think a man is.
All
You know
right,
what
so
I'm
I
saying?
got two responses from women. All right,
Uh-huh.
so the first one is, we're products of our environment, which I stated earlier. How
Mm-hmm.
we're raised, I stated that earlier, and exposed to whatever there are societal norms which vary from culture to culture. Why should there be tables or classification of people? You basically said the same thing I said. So I don't know if you just tuned in.
Who
This
is
is
that?
Obi. So Obi Adabansi. So I don't know if she just tuned in now, but I said that earlier as far as um it's really based for me, it's based off of what you grew up with.
Yeah.
Because again, if you weren't here, I was saying if a child doesn't have a father in their home,
Mhm.
they're basing masculinity off of what they're being shown, whether that's in the streets, on TV, through society, or whatever the case is. So that's going to drive both that child, that boy, and that girl as far as what their idea of what masculinity is. And she asked, should it be a table? Um, I don't think it should be, in a sense, in a general sense, it shouldn't be a table. Because like I said a couple of minutes ago, masculinity is masculinity. If it's divine masculinity, then it shouldn't have, like you were saying, it's the harmonic and the, what was the other
Right.
one? Well, you don't have
Subordinate
to, yeah,
and then
subordinate.
complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then
It's
again, that's bringing separation. But
yeah.
anyway, I'm going to get to these comments because they're rolling in.
Yeah.
All right. So KJ, she said it's all about balance. Yes.
Mhm.
Masculine and feminine. If I had feminine energy, the balance would be me being with a man with masculine energy. I 100% agree.
Mhm.
All right. So do you have a comment for that? Because I have a comment for that.
For which one? The first one or the second one you just read?
Both of them.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do. Do you want to go first or?
Well, I already addressed the first one, but you go ahead.
Okay, well, to address that one, because I think everybody, I hear what everybody's saying. It doesn't make a difference. Should we categorize? It's not that we categorize. I just think everything has levels. I'm trying to make it to make sense. It's not per se saying that you have to put this person this way, but it literally, that's who you are. That's what it is. It's not so much categorizing you. It's just that's where you fall. You are who you are. Yes. And product of society, like you said, how you grew up, your surroundings. But that, in a sense, if you really get deep, you fall into a category. There's no way you're going to not define something without separating it from this to that. You can't say this all together because they don't mesh well with the other one. So that is separation. At the end of the day, you're going to have to separate something. Now, we separate it in a form of conflict separation, but this is not conflict. It's literally separate you to identify who you are, because you can't be all three of them. You can be all three of them, but if you're not, and you're just one of them, then that's who you are. That's, yeah, separation, but that's who you are. That's what I'm saying. If you're a subordinate, I know I'm putting a word or a label on it, but that's the only way you can identify. Because if you're not all of them in one, meaning if you're not a leader, you're not have God in your life or your universe, whatever how you want to spin it, and you only have one aspect, then that's who you are. So you got to label that as, okay, this is a subordinate. The hegemonic is the one that's all of them in one. If you don't separate it, how else will you know the different from the other one from the other? You have to at the end of the day. It's just we as people separate in the wrong way to make it deemed that one's better than the other, one's worse. No, it's just literally letting you understand the difference. What is the name of our podcast? Day and night, we twins. What is the point of this podcast? To show you that we are two different people and we
Right.
think different. So that's separation. So you have to have separation to identify. So that's all I meant by that. So I hear what everybody's saying. So when you want a masculine man, you want all in one at the end of the day. But if he doesn't have all of that, then you have that particular person. That's to address that one. Now, what was the other one? I'm sorry.
All right. So KJ said it's all about balance,
Yeah.
masculine and feminine.
Yes.
If I had feminine energy, the balance would be me being with a man with masculine energy.
Yeah. That's all in one. That's what I was saying. That's why, again, I'm saying this, and y'all probably tired of me saying it, but that's to put a label on it. That's hegemonic, meaning everything all in one, balance, some of both. So that's the only reason. So we both saying the same thing in a different way, but at the end of the day, we still have to label it to understand it. Because if not, everything's just a mess. So you got to label things. When you go to the store, you buy something. If everything look alike, but it don't taste the same, how you gonna know which is the one you want if you don't have a label on it? So we have to label stuff, unfortunately. And that, I think that's everywhere, not just Western, you know, anywhere in the world you go, you got to have a label to understand what it is versus the other one.
Well, I don't want to get to this big back and forth, but I still push back against that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they do it. Is so they can divide and conquer, so they can know which ones they can deal with. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, like 100% I get it. Because it goes back to what they were saying about as far as, now what I was saying, depending on your environment and where you grew up at, is going to determine how you actually display or exude that masculinity. So the way I'm thinking, and based off of what you're saying, because everybody come from different backgrounds, they're simply saying, okay, so this person right here has all the traits of a divine masculine, but this one is kind of subordinate to the other one. So we're going to name this person a subordinate masculinity because they're not as dominant as this one. And then this one is not as like this one. So we're going to label this one that one. And that's all fine and good, but it's still the question I think she was asking is why? You don't have to do that. Who cares if that one is subordinate to that one? You see what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at it. And I think that's how she's looking at it too. Like, I get it. You can define the difference, but why does it matter at the end of the day as long as they're displaying masculinity and it's not toxic?
Okay.
So that's
like
how,
saying, what type of man do you like? Everybody, what type of woman do you like? Do you separate that, or you just like any kind of woman or any kind of man? I'm just saying, I'm just trying to, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, you still got to pick on something that you want. If you want a woman, you want a particular type of woman, right? Or do you just want any kind of woman, as long as she's a woman?
well, for me, I'm going off of energy, so that's not going to matter. If
Well,
she's
I mean,
white,
with energy
black,
too. I mean, in anything, any way, how we all is different, how we want to spend it, energy, vibes, whatever. You still have a type that you want, because if not, that means you take anything, huh?
If it's, I guess I feel what you're saying, but if it's positive energy,
right,
then
you still
again,
pick
it's
it
not going.
positive over negative.
Right, but I'm saying it's not going to have multiple different things you can choose from. So it's not going to be black, white, Hispanic, Asian, right, Filipino. But it is Asian, but you get what I'm saying? They all can possess that same energy. But anyway, right, I don't want to beat that. So Diamond came back and she says a man who plays sports does not make him more masculine than the one who plays piano. So I want to touch this one first. So Diamond, I think you weren't in when we first started talking about this. It's not that they're saying they're more masculine. It's just saying, like, with the hierarchy, that masculine man don't have the same traits as that alpha male. Just like Mark was talking about the different categories. And I know you're not a man, but when men are in a circle together, there's always one dominant one. Now, may be some that try to attempt to be that alpha, but they're not naturally an alpha. So that's just the way it falls. There's always going to be one head alpha, one head male in the pack. So it doesn't make him less masculine. It's just that masculine man can never be a true alpha. He can be masculine, but he can never be that true alpha. So I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, a masculine man can be masculine, but he can never be a true alpha. An alpha can be masculine, but a masculine man cannot be an alpha. All right, Mark, you want to address that?
Well, I mean, to answer that, I mean, I guess you can be masculine and play sports, or not play sports, to be a piano, play the piano. If that's answering this, I'm just going to keep it right to the point. Yeah, you can be masculine and play the piano versus sports. You don't have to be a sports figure. I hear what you're saying, Matt, but then that kind of goes against what we was all saying earlier about the feminine part about plucking the eyebrows. So that doesn't change just because he plays the piano. He could be the masculine man of them all. He just loves to play the piano. So I guess to answer your question, Diamond Girl, yeah, he can be masculine just because he doesn't play sports. It doesn't deem you masculine because you play sports. So I agree with Matt saying too, that's just the way society puts it. And that's the way it's going to spin, but we're not judging off of that. We're judging off of our own personal preference. So me personally, no, I don't see that as he can't be masculine because he plays the piano.
No, I think she was saying that'll make him more masculine.
What, to play the piano?
Yeah, like a man who plays sports does not make him more masculine.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree. It doesn't. No, I agree with that. I don't think that it makes you more masculine.
I do. I disagree. I believe it does, because a man that plays the piano, it takes a form of, I want to say, it's more softer, if that makes sense. Like he has to be less aggressive and assertive to play the piano, because you got to like take your time and you get more on the flow of it. Whereas a person that's playing sports, because they're so, always want to, hit something or just tear something up. He's not going to have that patience to sit down and learn how to play the piano, if that makes sense. Because all the testosterone is flowing, he has to do something that's physical and that's very assertive and that's aggressive. So I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, I mean it does, but I got a couple of comebacks or pushback, whatever you want to call it. Now, one, what sport are we talking about? Because sports in general, every sport, everything considered a sport when you think about it. Now, this is not a sport to me, but they consider it a sport.
Football, when I say football, basketball, hockey, baseball, boxing. That's what I'm saying. Sports that have to have aggression. I'm not, well, even tennis in a sense, but martial arts, wrestling, boxing. I'm talking about combat warrior sports where you have to be an alpha male. Ain't no masculine man doing no true alpha warrior sport. It's just not going to happen.
Does it matter what position he plays?
It doesn't matter because, well, if he's a kicker, I mean, he's still got to have a certain mentality, but.
No, the reason why I'm asking that is because Terrell Owens, or one of them, took up ballet because it made him light on his feet.
Herschel Walker.
But
so, you see how he turned out. That dude's a freaking nut.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, though. See, now you messing around.
No, I'm just saying, he's down here in Georgia. Dude is going.
I know.
He's not all there.
But I'm talking about what it helped him for. That didn't make him less of a man because he did that. But
that's my point. Because he was the only one to do that. He had the mindset to do that. Where a true alpha is not going to do that.
Okay. Now it's a sport they call it a sport. I think it's ridiculous. But I actually caught my eye the other day where they get there and they slap each other. I don't know if any of y'all seen that, but it's a sport. Women do it too, where they put one hand behind the back on the table.
Yeah, I see it.
And they slap them. Now, is that masculine or that's just somebody being alpha, proving that they the strongest?
That's a stupid sport.
Right. But I'm saying, though, does that make you masculine more than a guy that plays the piano?
It makes you stupid.
Right. I know that. But I'm saying, though, does that make you masculine, though? We both know it's stupid, but I'm saying, though, deemed or what
I'll put them in a different category. That has nothing to do with masculinity or anything. That's just stupidity.
Yeah.
So we got another comment. So Obi says, personally, I like a take charge man, one that tells me to sit back. I got this solution, driven person, yet recognizes and allows me to take the lead equally. And then KJ said, I feel you, Obi. I agree. So at the end of the day, y'all going back to what I said, divine masculinity. That's what a divine masculinity is. But that has nothing to do with a man plucking his eyebrows or getting his nails done. Because if he does those things, why is that deemed unmasculine? And I'm not trying to attack you on that one. That just sticks out because, you keep going back saying that's what you want. But then later on, you added, well, he's feminine because he gets his eyebrows plucked and his nails. That has nothing to do with true masculinity, divine masculinity.
Was that directed at me or what? I was wondering.
No, I was just talking in general.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I pretty much digress at this point. I mean, because we both have our views. I agree with what you're saying, and there's some things that I just see it differently. But at the end of the day, I think what you said, we both said, it got to be balanced, and masculinity shouldn't matter if you have a little feminine in it. But with me, I'm gonna stand by this. It has to be categorized because not everybody's the same. So that literally, this is my closing statement. We have to know which one that we identify with. With that comes categorizing or separate whatever word we choose to deem to use to identify it. But at the end of the day, we have to have some kind of way to understand what we want to consider masculine. So is masculinity versus alpha, is there a difference? I think we both agree, all of us agree that yes, it is. Does it matter what you want? Depending on you as an individual. Some women may want an alpha, some women may want all of it. So at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. We all have our choices and what we believe in. But it was a good conversation. I love it. I love the dialogue. Again, I'm all about learning, understanding people, because that's when you know more about a person, is when you listen to their opinions and their thoughts, even if it's not what you agree with. So this is why I love this. But that's all I have to say.
All right, beautifully said, beautifully said. So we had two comments while you was talking. So Obi says, you asked what we like. True. Diamond Girl says, we divine feminines all agree with each other. I'm not going to even touch that one. Yes, we do. This is what KJ said. Yes, we do. And we know what we like. So the Sigma in me is going to challenge that, but I'm a Sigma till I die. Hey, I'm a rebel, but at the end of the day, I do recognize that everyone has their preference, rather if it's right or wrong in my eyes. I respect the fact that everyone has it. But I'm just a firm believer, and we talked about this before. There's the truth, there's my truth, there's your truth, but then there's absolute truth. In this world that we're trying to survive in and to reach and maintain balance, we can only focus on absolute truth, because if it's always my truth versus your truth, we're in the situation we're in now. So for me, I'm always going to be a chaser of the absolute truth, because I don't want yours and mine. I want the absolute truth. I do believe there's absolute truth. But again, there's no disrespect to anyone's preference. I'm not going against it. I'm not saying you're wrong. What it is that you want, and what it is that you like, you like. Nothing but love and respect. So with that being said, I enjoyed this one. It was a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So we just asked y'all, you already commented, but just like, subscribe if you already haven't. So make sure you ding that bell. So when the premiere comes on a Wednesday, you know, that helps the algorithm reach out to more people. So as I always say, your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief becomes your reality. So with that being said, peace.
All right, we out.